Hello, my amazing artists. Today, we're going to create our own winter landscapes inspired by our artist Jenna Arayni and her love for Antarctica. Today in our work, we're going to be using a word we call mixed media. Remember that mixed media is when you're creating a work of art using more than one material or medium. Today, we're going to be starting with our pencil to do our drawing, and we're going to be drawing out some pen and ink techniques that you will be tracing later with marker. To begin, let's go ahead and pull our camera up so we can see everything really clearly. And you will see that Miss Epic has a big circle on her paper. If you're one of my friends at home, the first thing you want to do is go and find something to trace for a circle on your watercolor paper. That can be maybe a big mixing bowl from your kitchen or a big plate. After you've done that, you're going to find the middle of your paper and you're going to create a horizontal line from one side to the other. I'm going to start with that line, working really carefully to make it as straight as I can. And that should divide my circle into two parts, a bottom half circle here and half circle on the top. My next step today is to add some mountains to my landscape. Now for my mountains, I'm going to be using a triangular shape and I'm going to bring them up with a slightly curvy line. If you want your mountains to be a little bit bumpy like mine, you can use that curvy line. If you want them to be more straight, you can use a straight line. Remember that we want to use a variety, that means different types of sizes in our mountains. And you can create as many mountains as you would like. I ask that you make at least 3 mountains on your paper. Here we go. I'm going back up with my bumpy line and coming back down to meet the edge of my circle again. After I created the outline for the mountains, I'm going to go back and do some pen and ink techniques. Now notice that none of my mountains came all the way down to the ground again. That is going to help me with my starting point. I'm going to come over to the bottom of my mountain and I'm going to create a curved line that meets up at the top. Then I'm going to use a pen and ink technique we call cross-hatching. Cross-hatching is when I add value to my mountains by using diagonal lines like this. They help show that my mountains are 3-dimensional, going backwards. I'm going to do the same thing for the next mountain, starting at the bottom. My curvy line comes up, and then I create those diagonal lines again. I'm going to repeat this on each of my mountains until I've used that cross-hatching pen and ink technique. And remember, like I said later, this will become true pen and ink because you're going to trace everything in marker. I'll go back up on my last mountain, touch the top, and then my diagonal lines back down. Notice how carefully Miss Epic is meeting up my lines with the front and back of the mountain. And there we go. Our second pen and ink technique we're going to try today is adding just a couple of dots to the snowy white part of our mountain to add some texture. I'm going to add a few dots, but not too many. And now I'm ready for my next step. My next step is to create some images in the foreground or the front of my landscape. We're going to be using an art term we call perspective to do this. Perspective means that when things are very far away from the viewer, they look really small. But when things get up close, they get larger. We're going to start by creating a path. I want you to find the middle of that circle, go down to meet the middle with your horizon line, and create a curvy line coming forward. Remember that the closer you get, the bigger your curvy line is going to get until that curvy line is touching the front of your circle, just like that. Your last and final step for today is to add some winter trees to this path. I'm going to come over And I'm going to start with a vertical line for my trees, remembering that the ones in the back are smaller than the ones I will create in the front. And then I'm going to create diagonal lines going down to show the branches. Now you can create trees in the same style as Miss Epic, or you can add your own style to them, as long as you are showing me that perspective, that things far away are tiny and things up close get bigger. And finally, my last tree is going to be my largest tree. And there we have our finished landscape. Now, if you want to take a moment to add some details to your artwork that makes it more personal to you, that is okay. Just make sure that if you're adding any details to your sky, you're creating them very small so that they do not take up a lot of space, because tomorrow we're going to add our next media to the sky. So I think the only thing I might add, let's see, I think I might create the shape for a little moon in my sky. And there we go. I am ready for day 2.